Hello friends, and welcome back to Let's Do Gardening by Let's Do Cooking. My name is Danny. Today we are using our own finished compost and turning an old sandpit area into a new terrace garden bed. We are planting tomatoes, peppers, chilies, herbs and beans and trying to keep everything happy during a real Austrian heatwave. So grab a coffee and come along with us. We are starting today in the compost area. Our compost has developed so nicely since spring. It is dark, crumbly and already looks like proper garden soil. And honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of gardening. When all the kitchen scraps, grass clippings and garden waste turn into something useful again. So I'm shoveling some of this finished compost into the wheelbarrow and we are going to use it straight away in the field area. Our potatoes are growing well, so today they get a nice layer of compost. We are hilling them up to protect the tubers from light and to give the plants some extra nutrients for the next growing phase. We wanted to build a new raised bed, but before we start digging, I'll have to show you my Roma lettuce. This variety is doing so well, we have already harvested quite a lot from it. And I really love it because it has such a mild flavor, but it is still crisp and fresh. It is perfect in salads, sandwiches, or just as a quick green side from the garden. This area used to be a sandpit, as we found out. So Thomas starts by removing the top layer of grass with the shovel. The grass goes onto the compost because we try to reuse as much as possible in the garden. Under the grass we found quite a lot of sand from the old sandpit. Some of it will go into the new bed because it can help loosen the soil a little bit, and the rest goes back onto the compost pile. Now you can see most of the digging in fast forward because this was definitely one of those jobs that looks much easier in a video than it feels in real life. After the ground is cleared, Thomas takes the measurements and we start preparing the wooden frame for the new terrace bed. We also had to piece together the remaining wire mesh because this was all we still had at home and we wanted to use it up. It is not always perfect, but that is real gardening. Sometimes you just work with what you already have. Step by step, this old sandpit area is turning into a useful new growing space right next to the terrace. And if you are wondering why there is no birdsong in the background today, we are filling our pool. It is only a small pool for cooling down, not really for swimming, but with this heat wave it feels like pure luxury. Now the new bed is ready for the first plants. I'm starting with my pre-grown wild herbs. I really like adding herbs and wild plants into the garden because they bring variety, flowers, structure and often also something useful for insects. Some of these little plants still look quite small now, but once they settle into the bed, they should grow stronger. This is always the exciting part, when a new bed changes from just soil and wood into a real living garden space. After planting I also wash out the trays, because we might need them again for next seedlings. And this is what I love about this garden project. We are not just building beds, we are slowly creating a place where vegetables, herbs, flowers and insects can all become part of the same little ecosystem. The next day our peppers and chilies move into the new terrace bed. I have grown quite a few of them from seedlings, and now they finally get more space, more soil and hopefully a lot of sunshine. We are planting them into the compost-rich soil and giving them enough room to grow. Some plants are still small, but peppers and chilies can really take off once the weather is warm enough. And warm enough is definitely not the problem right now, because we currently have a heat wave in Austria with around 40 degrees Celsius in our garden. So we have to think a lot about protection from drying out. That is why we add mulch around the plants. Bell pepper red. Also wir haben zweimal Block Paprika links rechts und dann mit einen Jalapeno. The mulch helps keep the soil moist for longer and protects the surface from the strong sun. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this bed develops. With chilies, paprika, herbs and later tomatoes, this little terrace bed should become a very colorful and useful corner of the garden. It is still a work in progress, but you can already see where this is going. And now it is tomato time again. A few of our tomato plants are finally moving into the new terrace bed too. Tomatoes are one of those plants I always look forward to the most, because later in the season they connect the garden directly with the kitchen. Fresh tomatoes, basil, peppers, chilies, this is exactly the kind of garden to table feeling I love. We place the tomatoes into the bed, and I'm curious to see how they will grow in this new spot. It always feels special when a new bed starts filling up with real food plants. Next we are planting beans. In 3 corners of the new terrace bed, we plant Scarlet Emperor organic runner beans. I hope they will climb nicely and bring some hay flowers and later beans into this area. In another corner, we plant Bortolotto Rosso bush beans. I really like growing different varieties, because every bean brings something a little different to the garden and later to the kitchen. So now this bed has herbs, chilies, peppers, tomatoes and beans. And then we had a very special visitor in the new bed, a Bristly Dagger Wasp. And this species is quite an exciting find for us here in Austria, so we observed it carefully and reported the sighting on naturbeobachtung.at. Back in the field area, we loosen the soil a little bit and plant another row of sweet corn. Our garden is slowly filling up, but there is still space for a bit more corn. After planting, we cover the soil with mulch again. Especially during this heat wave, mulch is really important, because it helps to protect the young plants from drying out too quickly. Now we are back in the big raised bed. The cucumbers are getting bigger and they are slowly ready to start climbing. So I gently guide them towards, I try, the pallet wood, which we use as a simple support. Later we want to improve the climb bit structure even more, but for now this should help them find the right direction. Because it is so hot, I'm also adding more mulch around the cucumbers, because they need quite a lot of water, and this heat the soil can dry out very quickly. The mulch layer helps protect the roots and keeps the bed cooler. After that I planted my pre-grown basil next to the tomatoes. Just such a classic combination. They belong together in the kitchen, but I also love seeing them growing close to each other in the garden. The raised bed is getting fuller and fuller now, with tomatoes, cucumbers, basil, flowers and other vegetables. It may look a little wild already, but that is exactly how I like it. Colorful, productive and full of life. Now let's continue with the field area and prepare everything as well as possible before the heat wave really hits completely. We are adding fresh mulch and also sawdust around the plants. The sawdust stays light for longer and creates a nice protective layer on the soil, similar to grass mulch, but without possible grass seeds. Our carrots are already starting to sprout, which is always such a happy little moment. The asparagus area also gets a layer of sawdust mulch to protect the soil. We also plant more tomatoes in the field and give them twisted iron rods as support. This should help them grow upright and stay stable later in the season. At the moment, everything is still young and a bit fragile, but with mulch, water and a little patience, this field should soon look much fuller. And that was another busy, hot and beautiful chapter in our garden. Our garden is still a work in progress, but every week it feels a little more alive. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a wonderful day and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye friends.